What's up YouTube? It's Mike here, back with another video. Today's video, I want to go over the filtration on pretty much all the tanks. So I want to go over how I filter each tank and why I filter it the way I do. So let's get into that in today's video. Okay, so let's start upstairs with the only two tanks that aren't in the fish room. These are filtered with canister filters, and there's a few reasons why. So first, the flower horn tank, it's a mess right now. Gotta clean this up. But try to ignore that. Just algae. I actually had converted this tank over to a sump. I put a hang on the back overflow on it, and I was running it that way for a while, but the biggest issue was it was loud. The overflow was very loud, so I converted it back to a canister pretty much for that reason. I don't like to run canister filters. However, up here, I'll just do it. The reason why I don't like running them is because I hate taking them apart and cleaning them. So I'd much prefer a sump or even a sponge filter over a canister. I might eventually convert him over to a sponge, and I'll talk about that later. But for now, he's on a canister filter. It's quieter, plenty of filtration for this tank. Okay, now I've got this 125 up here, and you guys haven't seen this in a while. Had to divide this off so I could kind of grow out my two Maboo puffers up here, but I also didn't want to have to move Turk here, the Fahaka, and he cannot have any tank mates. If you guys are familiar with Fahakas, you know that. So what I've done was I divided it off. Originally, I was just going to give the two Maboos this space, but they started fighting too, so I had to divide them too. What a pain. I'm hoping when they get older I can make that work. Anyway, I am filtering this with canister filters as well. I've put sponges on the intakes because there's a bunch of guppies breeding in. So for this, I'm running two Suns. Real simple. I've got the bolt free over time. So this is the CF 500 with UV, which I'm not even using the UV in it. And this is HW 302. So again, I got those canisters free, and they're a good cheap canister anyway. If you're in the market, they're not bad canisters. Not great, but they're not bad canisters. So they get the job done. I don't have to clean them both at the same time, and I don't have to worry about crashing filtration completely. So that's upstairs, and I chose to use canisters up here, although I am not a fan. Again, it's just quieter. That's basically the biggest reason. All the canisters up here were free. I've acquired them over time. In fact, these tanks were practically free. And the lighting, I would like to upgrade the lighting eventually on that tank, but to be honest, I have plans to move this tank out of here. I got a lot of plans in the future for this particular spot in the house, so eventually this tank won't be here anyway, so it's just temporary lighting and a temporary grow out tank for the Maboos. Okay, my quarantine racks and my small tank here, I'm slowly reducing these. I'm trying to get these fish out of quarantine. I got stories on what I'm dealing with quarantine fish. Right now, the top one is just new arrivals, but I'm having issues with some bacterial infections and things like that. So I'm trying to treat fish slowly in a 55 on the bottom. But the point in the video is I choose to filter these smaller tanks with sponges. It's way easier. Sponges are very efficient. I can run all three of those on one air pump, and they do a great job. So there is mechanical stuff I'll have to siphon out here and there. I'll have to do some spot cleaning, and I showed you guys how I spot clean in my water change my water change video. But this is very low maintenance, gets the job done great. So I will always filter my small tanks with sponge filters. They are incredibly efficient. They're just ugly. Now my 180 is acting as a larger quarantine tank right now, and I had all four arowana divided off here, but as you can see, one of them jumped the divider. Looks like he hurt himself a little bit. I gotta fix that. But anyway, I am filtering this with a decent sized sump for this system and an FX6. I also have that sponge in there, but as you'll see, I have a sponge on a bunch of different tanks. They're just just to keep cycled sponges handy if I ever need to throw them in another tank to get something started up for some reason, like I might need to do for that arowana. Those two are fighting. Trickle Sump. These are super convenient and mechanical, can be replaced every couple days, really easy. I just throw some polyfill sheets in there and that's it. Now, I do run these big FX canister filters on these larger systems, and as we go through you'll see that, but I really don't have to do maintenance on them very often. I've gotten really good deals on a bunch of these canisters. I run them, they're great to have around. Now the 240, it is not cloudy. It has a really heavy biofilm built up on the front panel. I've got a big sump on this, and it's a dual trickle tower sump. I like the trickle filters because they're super easy to maintain, and I can just take two filter pads out or polyfill sheets out of those every couple days, and that's it. Don't have to do anything else. And I'm also running an FX5 on this one. I got the FX5 for free, long story short. So I am running it, again, extra filtration on some of these larger tanks. And again, I have a sponge filter on this, just running to have it running. If I ever need to throw them in a tank, I'll have some cycles. Now I want to go over these two tanks at the same time. The 220 has a 40-gallon sump, and it's a dual trickle tower, and I'll show you that in a second. And the 210 also has a dual trickle tower 40-gallon sump, and I'll show you those in a second. I also have an FX6 running on this. I got it for the 50% off on Black Friday a couple years ago. I'm running nice dual trickle tower filled with bio balls in one and pot scrubbies in the other one, and I'll show you that in the back. So this is behind, this is the 210 and that's the 220. These are both 40-gallon breeders, and these are drawers that you can buy at Walmart for really cheap. This is a dual one, although I'm only got one filled with bio balls, but there's only one fish in there. That's the reason for that. And I also have a small UV running on this system too. So just a trickle tower running on the 210. There's really only one fish in it. Actually, technically there's two because my tank is down in the sump. And now back to the 220. You see the FX6 there, like we talked about. And this is also a dual trickle tower, but I set it up a different way so I could get it underneath. So the drawers are only really one big drawer high. But this drawer is filled with bio balls, and the other one is pot scrubbies again. And I'm trying to get some pothos going here, just to add a little bit extra filtration there. And they look like they are starting to do some growing. They're coming up toward the light, so that right in the middle. So that's a good sign. I'm happy about that. But I run these sumps because they are cheap and easy, and then again, all I have to do is pull a drawer out and exchange the filter pad, which is really just polyfill. So super cheap, very quick to maintain. I don't have to pull apart a canister. I do have to pull apart those FXs every once in a while. I do them like every 6 months. But that's minimal. I don't want a canister on all these. I want it to be really simple. So this tank is very easy to manage. That's all I do is pull that filter pad, basically. I'm not going to completely go over the filtration again on this system. I did a video on it. You guys check that out. I'll put it in the link below. I've got a lot more K3 now added to the system. It's an overhead sump, and we drop down into 4 filter socks into the sump. It goes through a bio ball chamber, and then it goes through this big chamber of K3 and then drops back down, overflows back down on each side into the tank. And this tank is on the same system. It's just a closed loop, basically. Goes through UV first, and I do have a sponge. Again, I have a sponge over there, just cycling, just to keep sponges cycled. Again, I don't want to dig back into that, but I don't know if you guys hadn't seen the video before, you might not understand the filtration on this big system here. So go check out that other video. So yeah guys, that's basically it for this video. I just wanted to take you through real quick, give you an idea of how I filter things and why. Pretty simple. Most of it's because it's cost effective and easy to maintain. Canisters are not easy to maintain, but I still have to use them sometimes. Even filtration I don't like, I have to use sometimes for whatever reason. There's always some kind of reason. But I have slowly worked to make maintenance as easy as possible. That's the biggest goal. I enjoy the hobby, but I don't enjoy doing water changes. I don't enjoy cleaning filters, and I don't know many people that do. Although it does keep us busy, keeps us from being lazy. Still, we don't necessarily enjoy that, or at least I don't. So just wanted to go over that real quick, why I do it. And yeah, thank you guys as always for watching the videos. I really appreciate everybody's positive comments. Everyone has been super nice and always very encouraging to me, so I really appreciate that, guys. And I will see you in the next video.